Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here right on time. We'll wait just a few minutes to have everybody there. And we'll start very soon. A few minutes, 1 minute more. And we'll start. The meeting will be recorded. I see that someone is asking. It will be automatically recorded and we will send you the link to the replay. Okay, so let's start. Hello again, everyone. We are really thrilled to have you all here today. You are more than 400 participants representing 20 different countries. And we are excited to host this feedback conference discussing the first edition of the Sustainability in European Companies study. For once, we have chosen not to use the acronym, well, because it might be misleading. Let me introduce the two hosts for the upcoming session, and later I will present you the speakers. The first one is Brennan. She will be guiding the panel discussion. Catherine serves as the general manager at Birdeo, which is a recruitment consultancy specializing in CSR. She's also a member of the C3D, which is the French network of sustainability directors. I'm Camille Sztejnhorn, ESG Impact Director at the Lefebvre Sarrut group, who's European leader in legal knowledge. I'm also a member of the French C3D and the EASP General Secretariat, along with Marlène Morin-Lallemand, Jean-François Cognet, and Vanessa Hazard, who played a crucial role in making this study and conference a reality. First things first, who is EASP? It is an association of almost 4,000 CSR, ESG, sustainability directors. Some years ago, in several countries that you can see here, people working in this field felt the need to form an association. They created la DIRSE in Spain, VNU in Germany, Sustainability Makers in Italy, ICRS in the UK, C3D in France, and others in Greece, Serbia, or Turkey. And at some point, they felt the need to scale up and create an association of associations, which became the European Association of Sustainability Professionals, EASP. And it is still growing, as I am pleased to announce that Romania has just joined the network. So about a year ago, we came together and shared our common questions. And one of them was where sustainability was positioned in companies. Had certain countries managed to put it at the heart of strategic decision-making? Is Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, better known as CSRD, a positive game changer beyond the data point anxiety, to use Olivier Classier's word? That was a common question. So we decided to launch a European study. not necessarily with the aim of producing an exhaustive overview, but with the aim of stimulating debate. And five countries took part in this first study: Germany, France, Spain, Italy, and the United Kingdom. We will provide you later a link to register and receive the full study. You will have it on the chat. And then, as we looked at and discussed the results, we asked ourselves, could CSRD bring sustainability in the boardroom? Will it remain a mere reporting issue, or will this directive make companies aware of the strategic importance of ESG? I mean, not just a matter of survival, but also a way of finding new ways to create value. And today, as we are privileged to have someone who has played a crucial role in European institutions, Pascal Durand. So let's explore how the European Union itself has integrated sustainability into its renewed governance. You might know that Teresa Ribera, the commissioner tasked with advancing the Green Deal, among other things, she serves as the first executive vice president. The equivalent of that role in a company would be the second in command in the boardroom. So, should companies also prioritize sustainability at the board level? Is it necessary, really? Is it sufficient? Today, we will examine the current status in these 5 countries, determining if CSRD serves as a game changer, and will provide insights into the futures. Hopefully, we'll have enough time to address your questions live. Feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will do our best to respond. But first, we decided to kick off this conference with someone who has put in an exceptional effort on CSRD, as he was its rapporteur as former member of the European Parliament, Pascal Durand. We want to stress how dedicated a legislator he is. He aimed to ensure that businesses like us truly understood the directive. So he assembled various stakeholders over several months, including legislators, companies, auditors, NGOs, standard setters, notably the Gieren, who is a co-author. And the objective was to create a simplified and comprehensive toolkit named CSRD Essentials, designed for ease of understanding by non-legal professionals, including many infographics, for instance. And this toolkit can be accessed freely on the GRI website. So today, our goal for Pascal, was to reiterate the core essence of the CSRD and the legislator's vision. We also challenge him, I have to say, with the delicate task of exploring the question, could CSRD bring sustainability in the boardroom without any prior information about the study outcomes? And he accepted the challenge. So thank you again for that, Pascal. We are ready to hear you. You're still on mute, Pascal. I guess you need to unmute.
Yeah. Thank you, Camille. And yes, it wasn't a so big challenge, but thank you for inviting me. You know, in general, we have a general principle in politics: never answer the question you ask, but rather the one which you already have the answer. So let me rephrase, if I may, the question: would sustainability be effectively integrated into board decision without the CSRD? The legislator must remain very modest in the face of his work. So only time can tell what role the CSRD has played in the effective consideration of sustainability by boards. What I am certain of, however, is that without the CSRD, a tool will be missing. An element in the company's dashboard enabling analysis objective and constraints linked to sustainability issues to be objectively and seriously debate. The question we wanted to address as legislator with the CSRD was not whether the issue of sustainability should be included in a company's governance criteria, but how to make sustainability analysis as rigorous and serious as financial analysis. When a board discusses a company financial statements as presented by the CFO, no one questions their veracity. We talk about their consequence, strategic investment choice, or other, but the financial dashboard serves as a tangible support for discussion and decision. In the case of sustainability, this reference to objective criteria recognized, for example, by an entire sector, was not at all effective, and discussion could get bogged down in the choice and relevance of the criteria selected, leaving aside the actual consideration of sustainability trajectory to be implemented. This was one of the major problems of the INFRA, the rigor of comparability of sustainability criteria and information. And thus, this uncertainty, this form of arbitrariness was a source of skepticism or sharp criticism. The main thrust of our legislation was therefore to ensure that sustainability information was sincere and relevant. We want to give all the company's stakeholders, and in particular those working from the inside, the information they need for their comments and proposals to be taken into account. The mandatory nature of reporting, the rigor of exhaustiveness of EASRS, and the auditing and certification of the report are all elements that should enable boards to consider the issue of sustainability as a serious, even inescapable subject to be integrated into each and every one of the decision-making process. So, in conclusion, I will be short. Was the CSRD necessary to raise the issue of sustainability within the boards? The answer is unquestionably yes, particularly in view of the legal and widespread requirement for a certificate report to be presented and validated by the board. Will this be sufficient? And the key to boards taking sustainability into account? The answer appears more nuanced. It depends above all on those who will have the new EASRS tools at their disposal. Will the EASRS be used for anything other than cosmetic purposes? Will compliance with sustainability objectives be demanded by investors and financial backers? Will clients ensure that sustainability issues permeate their entire value chain? And it's a big question at this time, will the whole of EU member states be committed to implementing and monitoring this directive? So these were the ultimate objective of our text. But these questions and others that will emerge over the years remain. I think there is still great ground for hope, but also for uncertainty. And so, thank you for listening. And now I look forward to the results of your study because I don't know them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pascal. And thanks a lot for the trick. I guess we'll all remember to change the question to the question we really want to answer. It's a really nice one. Also, to raise new questions. And now we'll see with our roundtable where we are and how you see the future. We heard you have hope, at least you fight to make it true. Now let's see about the findings, right? Because you don't know them. The finding from the survey of 400 sustainability managers conducted between March and August 2024. In order to provide commentary on these results, we invited 5 distinguished representatives from their respective local networks. And as I present you, each one of you, can you tell us how many sustainability managers are part of your association and what is your job beyond the network? So let's start in country alphabetical order with Sébastien Mandron for the French Collège des directeurs du développement durable. We can't hear you, I guess, Sébastien. At least I can't.
Yeah, sorry, it's working. So I'm Sébastien Mandron, I'm of our line on the leading the CSRD dimension within the C3D.
Thank you. How many members do you have in the C3D?
Yeah, for sure. So we were starting, in fact, the year with 300 people, and we are going to land with more than 400. So definitely there is a strong acceleration within France, and we have gathered plenty of CSO leaders, in fact, and most of them, as you can understand, are very interested to join the regular session we are doing on CSRD, and we already performed within 1 year more than 30 sessions regarding CSRD, and we have 10 more to come by the end of the year.
Okay, blockbuster is CSRD. Let's move to Maria-Cristina Zaccone for Italian sustainability makers. Hi, Maria-Cristina.
Good morning to everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name is Maria-Cristina Zaccone. Actually, I'm a researcher for Sustainability Makers. That is the network that brings together sustainability professionals in Italy. And we are proud to have more than 350 members to date. Thank you, Camille.
Nice, thank you. Let's go to the UK with Paul Burke for the British Institute of Corporate Responsibility and Sustainability.
Hello, everyone. Paul Burke here. I am head of the ICRS Secretariat and also a director with SLR Consulting, a global consultancy that covers the broad spectrum of sustainability agenda. ICRS has around 1,700 individual members and 50 corporate members, many large companies, many companies that you'll be familiar with that have operations in Europe and the rest of the world. And we also have quite a lot of members in the professional services sector who, of course, are deeply interested in CSRD because they can sell their consultancy services to clients.
Thank you, Paul. Then we have with us Birgit Gieren for the German Association for Sustainability and Environmental Management. Hi, Birgit.
Hello. Okay. Here I am.
Yes.
Yes, my name is Birgit Gieren. I'm representing the VNU. We are a network that connects experts and users in environmental protection and sustainability management. We have roughly 160 companies as members and 200 individual members on top. So yes, and we are focusing on ISO standards and EMAS, and we are involving the sustainability aspect in all our topics.
Thank you, Birgit. And last but not least, we have Carlos Arango Arconada for the Spanish Asociación Española de Directivos de Sostenibilidad. Hi, Carlos.
Hi, good morning, everyone. A pleasure to be here. Well, since April, I'm completely focused in DIRSE as a managing director. I was the former sustainability leader for EY Spain and the managing director of the EY Spain Foundation. And nowadays in DIRSE in Spain, we are more than 900 members, individual members, and more than 100 corporate members.
Nice. So, Catherine, you have a great panel here with CSR directors, CSR consultants, researchers from 5 countries. So just have fun. The floor is yours, Catherine.
Thank you very much, Camille. Warm welcome to all participants this morning. Thank you, Pascal, as well, for sharing your views. So indeed, I have a great panel that's going to share their views on some of the results that we have found coming out of this survey. So we have plenty of time, actually, and hopefully we'll have time as well for your questions. So don't hesitate to drop them into the chat. So let's get into the results, and we're obviously not going to go through the 30 or so questions that we ask, that you will get later on if you register, to get the full results. But we look at some of the key items that we thought was interesting for us to be discussing this morning. So in terms of the key results, Camille, maybe the next slide, indeed. One of the section of the survey that we addressed was to understand how much change had been brought within organizations in light of CSRD. And interestingly enough, almost 50%, it's, half and half, have said that they have made changes within their organization. And the next slide actually will also show us that despite the fact that over 60% of companies said that, CSR directors said that their reporting line did not change, more than half of them said it should change. So one can sense that, CSRD is actually going to bring some changes within organizations. And the last point was also to understand maybe what the relationship with the finance department was and how maybe it has evolved through CSRD implementation. And there we found actually that, 40% of respondents told us that their financial department was actually supportive. So there was a positive outcome, and that actually 33% of respondents across Europe told us that the finance department was already somewhat involved in non-financial reporting. So we'll get into that point a little bit later on. But before we look into the changes, the first slide actually is looking at where we are today in terms of where the CSR sits within organizations. And what we found, Camille, maybe the next slide and the one after. Okay, so we asked the question, to CSR directors, are you actually part of an executive committee today? And 34% across the board, across Europe, told us yes, meaning that 66 are not. So, it's encouraging to see that 34 are, but, still 66 are not. And obviously, we saw some differences between the countries. And I'm going to start the first question actually addressed to Birgit from Germany. Now, in Germany, we had a panel that of respondents that was a bit smaller than in other countries. But, whoever responded, 41% of them said that they were part of an executive committee. But maybe there's more to numbers than numbers. So, Birgit, is that really the case that in Germany, CSR is a function that sits, for over 40% within executive committee?
Yeah, from our experience, we would say no. They are not yet. I would like to say part of the executive committees. We recognize that internal committees change from single topic committees, for example, environmental topics, to sustainability teams with close connections to the executive committees. And from our point of view, this points out that we will move forward to a more holistic strategy to combine all topics in sustainability committees. And we see at least closer connections to the executive boards.
Okay, thank you, Birgit. I'll turn over to Carlos now, because 44% of the respondents in Spain said that they were sitting, in an executive committee. What's your take then, Carlos? Why is that number so high in Spain?
Well, yes, that's right. It's a really high figure. Well, the explanation, perhaps because before CSRD, since 2019, Spain already had a very strong regulation regarding non-financial information. And because of that, Spanish companies had to consider sustainability as key, as now happens with CSRD. So they had taken advantage in comparison to other countries regarding organization of the information, organization of the teams, and the strategic role, etc. So we can say in some ways in Spain, we had already experienced what we and other countries are experiencing nowadays with CSRD. So some organizational movements had to be done in order to fulfill with this directive request and the new role of sustainability in our companies.
Thank you, Carlos. Maria-Cristina, in Italy, actually, the percentage is very much, the same than the average European, representation in executive committee. What do you think it brings to the CSR function to actually be represented at the highest level?
Thank you, Catherine, for the question. Actually, I think that it indicates that there's a growing awareness among the Italian companies about the strategic value of sustainability. When sustainability or CSR is part of the executive team, it gains visibility and can more effectively advocate for resources and support. And also this visibility actually increases accountability as top management is directly involved into the sustainability goal definition and even the outcomes.
Okay, I'll close this particular topic with Paul from the UK, because again, sometimes there's something more behind numbers. One could think that, with 19% only in the UK, maybe the topic is actually not that seriously taken, but I don't think that's the case, Paul, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Catherine. The topic is taken very seriously. I mean, I think that there's a couple of things. First of all, the level of response from the UK wasn't that high. And secondly, executive committee, in my experience, there are relatively few. Well, no, there's more than there was, but there's not as many as there should be. Chief sustainability officers sit on the executive committee. Executive committees in the UK, typically, 7 to 10 people, and sometimes, the head of sustainability will report into corporate affairs director, a marketing director, whoever. So it's not surprising that the respondents don't actually sit on the executive committee, but definitely this issue is taken very seriously and increasingly occupying a large space of the board's agenda.
Okay, thank you, Paul. So, after actually looking at where it sits within Europe, we decided to dive into some of the changes that have been highlighted by the respondent of the survey. So we know more resources have been added through the implementation of CSRD. We know as well that external help and consultants have actually been brought in to help organizations. We know also that in some cases there's been changes in reporting lines. So we'll try to understand a little bit more what are these changes on about. And Maria-Cristina, I'll start with you. And I'll start with you by actually highlighting a couple of data points. First of all, it's very interesting to say that in Italy, 50% of the respondents actually were companies with less than 250 employees. And your respondent actually said that 60% of them, which is not negligible, said that they had made changes to the organization and they had made changes as well to the reporting line. Can you maybe share with us some of the changes that you've seen happening in Italian organizations?
Yes, Catherine, actually, different kind of changes occurred depending on whether the company was a large company or, as me, a small, medium-sized company. So, for instance, for what concerned the large Italian companies, they implemented several changes to enhance their sustainability reporting practices. This, for instance, includes hiring more personnel for sustainability deployment, but also to revise even the processes, specifically the materiality process analysis, to comply with the CSRD double materiality. And also many large organizations are increasingly relying on the external consultants to support their compliance effort. Conversely, for what concerned as small, medium-sized companies, actually the main change has been the introduction for the first time of a sustainability manager role or sustainability specialist role, as well as me for the first time are implementing certain sustainability training courses for their employees. And this is a good sign, actually.
Okay, now I'll turn over to France because we have kind of an opposite situation. 65% of the French respondents were coming from organizations with more than 1,000 employees. So, you know, obviously larger enterprises. And actually most of them said that they have made no changes, neither in the organization, neither in the reporting level. 83% said they made no changes in the reporting level. However, 54% of them said that changes should happen, but they didn't make any. So I'll turn over to Sébastien, to actually give us some understanding as to why it looks different in France.
Yeah. So on my view, I would say that what's happened in France, in fact, is that CSRD has been taken, in fact, by large corporates early 2023. Okay, on what those teams did, they are mobilized their resources, okay, directly on this topic. Okay, meaning that they have anticipated the work and they stopped effectively part of their day-to-day activities to focus on that dimension. That is highlighting that those teams or those CSO officers have already some teams that they can mobilize. Okay, and I think it is part of the answer, which is to say that we have already people in place, okay, and who are able to mobilize those people and to mobilize those people on this dimension, okay, and that is the explanation why, in fact, no major changes took place, okay. What is at stake is effectively that we are running this project, okay. What we saw questioning from the board of directors, okay. And the questioning from the board of directors was to get more visibility on that project, to understand if the project is properly launched, is properly handled, and by when it will be landed. Okay, this is currently new questions that is coming in terms of reporting, but I'm not, as of today, expecting more changes for this phase. Okay, what we can expect in our side, it will be changes for the implementation phase, meaning that once we have concluded the study, we have listed all the transformation we have to perform. Here we can expect additional changes, especially by onboarding new people.
Okay, thank you, Sébastien. Birgit, I'll come back to you because interestingly enough, the companies who responded, I know the sample is quite small, but the companies who responded were also like in France, pretty large corporations. And they've actually said that over 50% of them have made changes to the organization. Have you witnessed such changes and what could they be like?
Yes, we recognize that the sustainability topics are becoming more and more important. This is, of course, emphasized by the new regulations we are facing. And we also think that we observe sort of trickle-down effect. The organizations which are obliged to report right now are requesting information from data, of course, from the suppliers. So more and more companies are involved. And it doesn't really matter if they are obliged to report right now. What we see that most of the companies need to adjust to all these requirements. And changes are beginning, but what we also realize is that we still have the question of ownership to the topic. This is something I think we need to answer before we make changes.
Okay, interesting. Ownership of the topic, right?
Yes.
And then changes can actually happen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Birgit. On the last data point we wanted to actually review with all of you today is actually around the view that CSR directors have had on the support they've been getting from finance on one side, and also on the implementation of new technology. There's a saying, right, that says that you can't improve something that you cannot measure. And obviously, it's interesting to hear from you what you think about what finance is actually going to bring to the table. So I'll actually start with you, Sébastien, on that very topic. What do you think that finance, the role of finance in that CSRD, what does it bring? And could it allow actually, sustainability directors to focus on something else other than maybe data collection, data audit, and some other processes that finance can bring into the process?
Yeah, for sure. So what we already see last year is that some large corporates already set up some financial sustainability departments, okay? Meaning that within finance department, they already appointed people in charge of sustainability to take care about the reporting, okay? And what we see more and more, especially in the last 4 months, where we have a lot of interaction with the auditors, is that the questioning that we receive from the auditor that is around the internal control, that we have for the extra-financial reporting, or the process of collection, or the description of the KPIs, what is expected, it is the same level of robustness that they are asking to finance, okay? So definitively what is at stake here is that the level of reporting that is expected within the CSRD is going to be closer than what finance is doing, on where finance has the capability just to make proper calculation, to ensure that the data are consistent, to ensure that we can compare the data year after year. So all of those dimensions are perfectly managed by the profile of finance people. So on our view, it's already a wave that is starting where finance that have sufficient level of maturity, okay, and this one is an important topic, are starting to position themselves to manage the reporting. It does not mean that finance is going to take the full part, because finance do not have any clue about building a biodiversity transition plan, having a point of view about target regarding carbon reduction, having discussion about circular economy. And all of those things, the definition, the identification of the solution, or the run of those projects with the operation, definitively will remain in the hands of the corporate sustainability officer.
Thank you, Sébastien. Carlos, in Spain, actually, you have the highest percentage of companies that have said that finance is already partially handling the non-financial reporting. Now, I understand that before CSRD came into place, the reporting legislation in your country meant that sustainability reports had to be audited. Would that explain why the finance department has been involved already for a while into that topic?
Yeah, you're completely right, and for sure, auditing is one of the reasons, and it's aligned with my answer in the previous question and what you are saying now about these requirements of the regulation in Spain before CSRD launch. So you're completely right. And now for sure, CSR departments have the opportunity to focus in change easier. Well, because they have other departments on board with responsibilities and mandatory activities, as happens with finance.
Okay. I'll turn over to Maria-Cristina, because in Italy, it was the country where, we got the highest percentage of organizations saying that they will bring in new technology. Have you seen already some of this technology coming in, and why is technology being brought in line of CSRD?
Thank you, Catherine, for the question. Actually, this is an indicator of the proactive approach companies are taking towards sustainability. And this commitment towards technology highlights the recognition of the importance of technology, of leveraging and harnessing technology. For instance, AI. AI today can play a crucial role in automating, for instance, the data collection, but also the data analysis, reducing the manual effort that is traditionally required in the process of sustainability reporting. And this automation not only enhances the accuracy by minimizing the human error, but also accelerates the reporting timeline, enabling companies to respond more quickly and swiftly to the regulatory requirements.
Thank you, Maria-Cristina. I'll turn over to you, Paul, because obviously most of the companies in the UK are not subject to CSRD yet, right?
That's correct, yeah.
But you're following what's going on in Europe. Is there anything that can be leveraged or learned from the implementation of CSRD as far as, UK company would be concerned?
The one bit of advice I'd give is to focus on the benefits of CSRD rather than the process. I think where the problem arises is that people come in and spend ages and ages trying to explain how CSRD works and double materiality, etc., without starting off from the point that Pascal made about improving the quality, the flow of information. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is that CSRD is, as you say, it's not that relevant yet to UK companies, but many companies are acutely aware of things that are happening overseas, in Europe, in North America. They're also acutely aware of how reporting processes and standards are trying to solidify. So, place CSRD within that broader landscape as part of a much greater movement towards standardization and providing, common ground on which to assess how companies are handling the challenges of climate change and lots of other aspects of the sustainability agenda.
Thank you, Paul. In conclusion, I'd like to ask each of you the same question, and maybe if you can answer in few words. In your views, what are the next big steps for sustainability on one end, but also for the head of sustainability in each of the companies that you represent. Maria-Cristina, do you want to start? What's the next big move? What's the next big step?
Tough question. Thank you, Catherine. Actually, I think that the next step is going to be to leverage technology to ensure actually that the CSRD is not going to hinder the sustainability department, but instead enhance all the activities done by the sustainability department.
Sébastien, what will be your thoughts? What's the next big move?
So the next big move is it's quite obvious. Let's be clear. What is at stake is to publish the transition plan for the next 5 years, including the financial means. So that means that here we'll take very, very strong commitment and will be under the spotlight of the investors, of the NGOs, or under the spotlight of the insurance. So all of those people will have a focus on what we are delivering. So what is going to change drastically our role? Because as of today, we are just promising to do the things properly. Tomorrow, we'll not be there to promise things, we'll be there to deliver things. So which is a real step change, especially when we promise for the next 5 years. As of today, finance department makes statement by 3 years only. So it will be definitely a strong big change for us.
Okay. Carlos, from your point of view, what's the next big step?
Well, I see stability directors in the future even more seated than today in the executive committees. I see them in the future as advisors, as trust advisors to all main areas of the companies. I see them in the future involved in all the processes of value creation and business relationships, and not only reporting. Perhaps I'm being very optimistic, or it's a desire, hope, but well, I trust it will become reality.
Okay. Birgit, what do you think?
I think we need to make changes in mindset and awareness. I know these are big words, but we still realize barriers between business and sustainability. So I think we need to achieve an honest and deep integration between these topics.
Okay. Paul, what would be your thoughts?
I think it's about people embracing the challenge and tapping into the additional resource that comes from the finance director, the marketing teams, the procurement teams, and not seeing this as a threat. I think for a long time, people who worked in this area have seen themselves almost as missionaries, as John the Baptist, sort of paving the way for the birth of the Messiah or something. But I think now's the time that they've really got to engage and work closely with their colleagues. Some of them do it already, but it's about seeing this as a real opportunity, not as a threat to their status as the expert. By all means, keep your expertise, but share it as widely as possible and demonstrate the value that you can add.
Okay. Well, thank you very much to all of you. We've been very diligent, so we actually have time to take questions. So I don't know if Marlène or Camille, you've identified some questions for the panel?
Marlène, do you have some questions for us, or Marie?
There is a question to precise the respondent, if you could give more precision on that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, as for the size of the company, because I see that the question that comes often, it's quite well shared among the different size between the less than 10 person and over 5,000. But if I have to give you a detailed answer, 41% of the respondents are in companies with less than 250 people. So 59% above 250, and within that we have 41% that are above 1,000. So it's quite well spread. But if you deep dive into the countries, it's super different. In Italy and Spain, you have for Italy, 51% are under 250 employees, and in Spain it's 53%. And if you go to France and Germany, you have much more companies above 250. It's 83% in France above 250. And it's about the same in Germany. So you will have all the detail in the full study. Again, you have in the chat, you have the link to receive it. And I guess it's okay. Any other question, Marlene?
Yeah, there is a question about the fear that some of you have about the fact that finance taking into account the sustainability topics, and they say, I can read the question. My customer, CSO or CSR manager often see finance taking over the topic and fear for the environmental biodiversity topics. Finance being at the EXCO and CSR are not always. How does each country see the relationship between the two?
So maybe the members of our panel can answer. Is it a threat or an opportunity that finance are so much involved into CSRD and CSR matters? What do you think? Someone wants to?
No. I think the topic is pretty obvious that currently what finance can do, it is the reporting, okay, on what is expected from the CSO is to give the visibility about how the business model can be impacted, on how the market or the industry is handling those concerns. This view, in fact, or this vision has to be handled by the CSO. Okay, finance has nothing to do with that. They cannot manage, in fact, biodiversity concern, water scarcity, or climate change. It is real content management, because the CSO, they should have in their team experts regarding the climate, experts regarding the water, and all of the team of the CSO has to manage those contents. Okay, and at the end, definitively, the CSO has to discuss properly with the board of directors, because it is the board of directors that should have the impact on the business model.
Just to agree with Sébastien there, if you think about CSRD and you think about double materiality analysis, it's absolutely explicit that it's about impact materiality and financial materiality, and it's not the intersection of those two things. It's about the union. So even if finance do get involved, their natural preference will be to focus more on the financial side. You're still going to need people who understand the impacts that the business has on society, on stakeholders, on the environment, and how to manage those impacts effectively. So yes, embrace it, and also just realize that the people in finance, they're not going to be experts in many of these things. They're going to need our advice to help them to get to the right answers.
I think we have time for another question, Marlene.
Last one, because after we have some additional message to send. Last question or last comment on the previous one?
Yeah, there is a question about the training of the board and how to train the member of the board on sustainability. Perhaps there is some good practice that some of you want to share.
Well, I think first of that, it's important the training of sustainability team, a sustainability director, and not only in technical issues or not only in reporting or CSRD or whatever. Perhaps it's more important training in strategy, training in business, because we should be able to push in all the departments and to make all the departments be involved. And so we have to understand very good the challenges of every department and the challenges of our companies, the strategies, and so. So first of all, I think it's important our training first, and of course it's important the training of the board to make them understand what is this about sustainability, the three aspects of governance, environment, and social, how this link to their accounts, to the business, and to the growth of their own departments.
Thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Just maybe one last question, because I see that and maybe it's more to Pascal. We started with you. Maybe we can end with you. We see that there are many questions about the possible or not possible step back of the CSRD, because both in European parliaments and local parliament, there are some pushbacks and forces against CSRD. And just today, for you all to know, there was an article, an interview of the French Prime Minister saying that he would maybe like to delay the CSRD implementation. Sorry, you do not have so much time to answer to the maybe complex question, Pascal, but do you think the CSRD could be delayed, really? Or what kind of setback could we experience?
You asked me what I think. Yes, of course, everything can change in politics. So we have big issue with the right and the far right of European Parliament and the Council, and you're absolutely right. Fear from I don't know. It's not easy to understand what wants. What wants to I don't know, the EPP and the part, of course, of ECR, because I think one of the key of the future, it's we are talking about relation, financial and environmental, biodiversity, etc., etc. I think one of the key of the future is the relation with the investors. Because if the investors and, I don't know, every funders or bankers are asking about new information about the question of environment, etc., I think the politics will follow. Because, of course, for Michel Barnier, it's not a point. CSRD is not a point. The point is how react companies. So if we have a big push from the investors, from banks, and I think we can have something very good for CSRD, because it's a part of the finance, of course, and the opposition between financial things and extra financial things, it's over for me. It's time to mix both. So we need a new relation with investor. I think it's the key of the future, because companies need money and needs money on the market. So I think it's a point. It's the same for SMEs and etc. So yes, we can have a pushback, but I try to be optimistic.
Thank you for that, Pascal, and let's join forces with investors and finance then. Thank you all for joining this premiere. So I see much progress has been made, but there is still clearly a long road ahead. We will reconvene in a year to assess progress, coinciding with the production of the first sustainability reports and the initiation of tangible steps towards CSRD by the medium-sized companies. for you to know, you can receive the full study within about 3 weeks. We will include in the deliverable some insight that we got today in the roundtable and the keynote and the discussion. I would like, please, to also, I need to take this moment to express my special thanks to Jean-François, Marlène, Vanessa, Marie-Marine, and Mathilde, because without you, nothing would have been possible. And lastly, for sustainability managers who wish to engage with their local network, here are the contact details organized by country. And if you belong to a local network and you aspire to join EASP, if you're another country, not this one, in this ones, well, you can get in touch with Marlène. And here we are. We would be very happy to welcome new people and new countries in the European Association for Sustainability Professionals. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being there. And I guess see you at most next year.
Thank
Bye.
you, Camille.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.